I'm Doria Fleischer, your Charles County Government Community Engagement Coordinator. One of my favorite parts of my job is being able to facilitate Citizens Academy. Citizens Academy is a program that we run twice a year through county government, and it's a chance for citizens to get to know more about how county government operates. What I like about this program is that it brings in everyday citizens like you who want to learn more about what county government does, how they do it, and how you can become more involved and engaged. A key component of Citizens Academy is how individuals come together as a cohort. Listen to what some of our Citizens Academy ambassadors have to say about their experience in the program.
The program opened my eyes to various ways that I could become a more engaged citizen, from serving on boards and commissions to ideas for program improvements and just meeting the multitude of really successful and helpful people who run the government and just sharing different ideas and perspectives with them.
So what I've learned from Citizens Academy is connecting with others and getting others involved in terms of the resources that Charles County government has to offer. And so I think definitely spreading the word to neighbors and friends about the vast resources that Charles County has.
Citizens Academy was important to me because I live here. My children go to Charles County Public Schools. We live and spend money here in the county. And I wanted to ensure that I was doing my part to be a good citizen and bring accurate information and accurate resources to my neighbors as best that I can.
I believe that it is a good resource for every citizen of Charles County that they should get involved in the Citizens Academy. That's why it's called Citizens Academy.
This is a great program. It's a great opportunity to meet neighbors, meet other residents from other parts of the county. And we have a lot of different people here. So it's just a great opportunity to meet neighbors that you wouldn't necessarily bump into at the local grocery store.
If you or someone you know is interested in participating in Citizens Academy, please visit our website and learn more about this great program. We hope you'll get involved and stay engaged.
Maya Angelou was born Marguerite Johnson on April 4th, 1928 in St. Louis, Missouri. She was an author, poet, historian, songwriter, playwright, dancer, stage and screen producer, director, performer, singer, and civil rights activist. While in New York City in 1959, Angelou found encouragement for her literary talents at the Harlem Writers Guild and was published for the first time. Her best-known book and autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, published in 1969, brought her international recognition. Also known for her many volumes of poetry, Just Give Me a Cool Drink of Water Before I Die, which was published in 1971, was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize. As the first Black woman director in Hollywood, Angelou wrote, produced, directed, and starred in productions for stage, film, and television. In 1971, she wrote the original screenplay and musical score for the film Georgia, Georgia. She also wrote and produced several prize-winning documentaries, including Afro-Americans in the Arts, a PBS special for which she received the Golden Eagle Award. She was nominated for a Tony Award for her 1973 Broadway debut in Look Away. In 1981, Angelou, who was often referred to as Dr. Angelou, despite her lack of college education, became a professor of American Studies at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. In 2011, Angelou was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She died on May 28, 2014 in Winston-Salem, North Carolina at the age of 86.
Applying for jobs with Charles County government is now easier and more efficient. Visit www.charlescountymd.gov for more information.
If you have a banjo, you have a banjo and you're going to play songs on it. Just like if you have violin or you have a guitar or you have a ukulele, you're just going to play songs on it. So I would just tell people, just approach it with an open mind and try not to approach it with the stigmas.
for the spirit of togetherness, I think, it has to be that this American instrument has its roots in West Africa and the Caribbean, and that there's a whole lot of people that played this instrument that didn't get the acknowledgement that they deserve. And I think in some ways we can still find out who some of these players were, possibly even in Southern Maryland. And I think if we could find the right research structure to learn more about them, at least as much as we can, I think that would be a start, and it would lead to understanding and appreciation of not only the instrument, but of who we are.
One more time.
My name is Stephen Barkley, and I've been playing banjo for about 20 years. I got my first banjo when I was in California. I'm a skateboarder, I guess, originally, and being away from home, I kind of associated the banjo more with home, even though I don't come from a banjo family, but I always thought of it as an East Coast kind of thing. So I got a cheap banjo out there, and I found some chords, and I practiced them, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And this was, before, the internet was just coming out, so there wasn't a whole lot out there, but that's where I really began, and just kind of experimenting with it and maybe playing the way it should have been played traditionally. I ended up finding one in the basement of a music store for like $60. So that's how I got into it.
I'm Byron Thomas. I'm a native of Charles County, Maryland. I've been playing the banjo now for 5 years. Doesn't really feel like it's been 5 years, but it's been 5 years. And at this point now, I'm just so in love with the instrument at this point. And I came to banjo just through learning about the history, finding out that it was an instrument that at one point in time slaves were playing intrigued me, because it seemed like, as I've been talking to more people, it seems like the older generation of Black people know that there were Black people playing the banjo, but growing up, when you don't see that represented in the media, then it kind of escapes you until you're met with something that says otherwise. So learning the history ultimately is what just brought me to the banjo. And I started out, actually, speaking of learning the history, I actually ran across this very, it seems to be infamous now, this article about the Uncle Enos cigar box banjo, in which there was a former slave named Uncle Enos. He had a gourd banjo, and the gourd had cracked, because a lot of banjos from the late 1800s and before were made the traditional way of being, a gourd body, and then you had the neck and all that. So he decided to, he still wanted to play, so he just grabbed a cigar box, which were really, because of the way that the taxes were done on cigars and everything at that point, cigar boxes were very prevalent. So he grabbed a cigar box and fashioned himself a banjo from what he had left over. So I decided to go through the article and see the plans and kind of do the same thing, where it was made from like a broomstick handle. I found a broomstick handle in my house, old broom, so I said, I'll go ahead and use that. Got a cigar box from someone at work, and I just used a pine neck, and then threw some tuning pegs on and strung it up. And it's quiet, but not having money at the time, it's allowed me to get into playing the banjo.
I guess the beauty of the internet and YouTube is that you can take all sorts of lessons from various people that are really into banjo and great teachers. But then those teachers also pass along information, historical information, And it was through YouTube videos and various banjo teachers that I found recommendations of books to look at. And so one of those books was by Cecilia Conway, and it's called African Banjo Echoes in Appalachia. And this book had a map in it of black banjo citations prior to 1830, I believe it was the date. It was a very sparsely populated map, but it featured Nanjemoy. And it was just, when I saw that, I just never knew that the banjo history in Southern Maryland went back that far. And you know, I'm a banjo enthusiast. I'm not a banjo researcher or expert, so that was new to me. And I just thought, my whole life, well, not my whole life, but the last 20 years of playing, you know, I never knew this. And so that just a half hour from where I grew up, this was happening in the late 1770s or the mid 1770s. So that's pretty striking. You know, I always associated that history with West Virginia or other parts of the country or parts of Virginia, but not so local. In 1774, a young European came and went up and down the Potomac River and visited various households and recorded in his journal a black ball in Nanjemoy. And his words to describe it weren't flattering, but it's what we have in terms of the historical record. And it's a rare description from that time period. And it's an intersection of dance and poetry and banjo in 1774. So that's early. He also went on down to St. Mary's County and also witnessed fiddle and banjo, which is possibly just the second instance of fiddle and banjo being played together in the written record. So there's a lot of history there that I never knew, and the books that come out are just kind of mind-blowing in that way. So I think what my friends and I decided to do was to work together with local organizations and try to bring some attention to the African roots of the banjo, to the West African roots of the banjo. And through that group of artists and musicians and enthusiasts, I think we've kind of gotten some momentum that's created a little bit of interest locally. And I think it just raises questions of what can we do with that? The Banjo Project is it's really a group of enthusiasts and academics and artists here in Southern Maryland who see banjo history and they want to share the word about the roots of the banjo being from West Africa. So in order to do that, we've gotten in touch with various cultural organizations in the area, the Charles County Arts Alliance, the National Association of American African Dance Teachers, the Life Journeys Writers Guild, Southern Maryland Traditional Music and Dance. So we have a lot of support, but it's through these organizations that we're hoping to create a map or some structure of how we could use that history and those events from the late 1770s for the benefit of the people here. And that we do have a rich musical and cultural history here in Southern Maryland that predates a lot of other areas in the country where you might think they have deeper roots than here. So it's an interesting opportunity, I think, in many ways.
For me, the Banjo Project is definitely a hope for the future. Because I would love to, be in my golden years and see younger people picking up the banjo, but just it having more commonplace. Especially, since music changes and everything, but banjo was the first rock band. So I would love to see this project and projects like it, whatever spawns later, to just inform people that the banjo can do whatever you want the banjo to do. And then also, because it is the banjo and it is steeped in so much nuance because of the history, it also is going to force us to have conversations that we have to have, and that's something else that I hope for the project, is just through informing people, for them to be able to see not just the banjo of today, but the banjo of yesterday, and see how it's come a long way from minstrel shows to being seen as this mountain folk instrument to seeing it as, well, it's an instrument and it can hold its own just like anything else can.
You can find more information about the Banjo Project on the Charles County Arts Alliance website. They've got links to the YouTube videos. We've done one panel discussion and one interview, and information about jams and other cultural events. They've been super. So I would highly recommend checking that out, and you can get into all of these details in more depth through their website and through the videos.
The banjo is a great instrument, and it has a lot of potential that has still yet to be, brought to light.